Commercial outlets are not ignorant of furries. This past Halloween, you could walk into any Hot Topic and spend $80 on a pure white, full head cat mask. Basically a fursuit head. More and more I see complex animal imagery on t-shirts, and more music videos are being made with furries in mind. Wait a second, I was in a furry music video, wasn't I? I was!
Someday we will leave this town together.
Furries are getting bigger and more popular. It's often joked about that one day we're gonna go mainstream. But even if it does, wouldn't it just be like a passing fad that wouldn't last longer than like parachute pants? How much are furries worth? What sort of money do we dish out for the love of our fandom? As furries, we are fans of each other. This fandom does not rely heavily on outside creation by big Hollywood studios or comic book authors. Furries create and sell their own content to almost exclusively other furries. This episode, we look into the fluffy dollar and try to make a guess to what kind of economics that keep going in the furry world. Furryconomics is culturally effed. There are a number of business entrepreneurs out there, or should I say entrepreneurs, or entrepreneur. Never mind. They range from artists selling their works to the point of making a living wage to marital aid manufacturers spinning off into success through non-furry markets. A piece of artwork, say a standard reference sheet, might cost anywhere from pay what you can to upwards of $150. Some art pieces sell for $500 before they're even made. Original artworks have sold at convention auctions for higher than $3,000. Then there's the case of adoptables, or your character here commissions. Adoptables are pre-made characters for sale, allowing the buyer free use of them. Your character here's are when an artist half finishes a piece with uncolored generic anthros, then sells the positions to bidders for their characters to fill in the gaps. Like regular artwork, this can range heavily from nothing to hundreds of dollars.
Every day, an adoptable goes online and never finds an owner. For less than the cost of a cup of coffee per day, you can help find a home for these adoptables.
If your animal has ears or a tail, you better believe that someone out there is selling your species of ears for your head and a tail for your butt. These makers often also deal in full fursuit production. Ears and tails can range anywhere from $20 to $200 a piece. Fursuits are rarely under $1,000, and the most expensive suit ever sold at auction sold for $18,000 US. Most furries admit to having bought art or commissioned an original piece, but only 20% of furries admit to having an ears and tails, and only 10% of furries will ever own a full fursuit, whether they made it themselves or they commissioned it. Let's not forget that nothing sells better than sex. Another huge success story is Bad Dragon Studios. For those of you who don't know, Bad Dragon produces massive and hilariously shaped sex toys. They've created a niche big enough to attract shoppers from outside the furry fandom. Their products range anywhere from $20 to $200. It doesn't even stop there. There are book publishers, fursuit prop and costume makers, jewelers, printers, musicians, writers. All kinds of people manage to scrape some spare change doing this hobby. Even a select few of them manage to find success enough to make it their full-time job. Let's get back to our original question. How much is the fandom worth? We wanted to calculate the furry economy, at least internally, not counting things like travel to conventions or movie tickets. But we encountered several roadblocks that we don't have the tools or skills to work past. First of all, there's a complete lack of data on the subject. No one has yet put out a comprehensive survey on the matter. Also, in order to estimate the total GDP of the fandom, you need an estimate of how many people are in the fandom, which is another near impossible task. If you think you know a good source for the statistics we're about to discuss, please let me know in the comments, because I would love to follow up this video with an update with more accurate numbers. We can start with what we know. Former furaffinity.net owner Dragoneer posted in March 2015 that FA had 1.2 million existing users, 200,000 new accounts created in 2014, 120,000 registered daily visitors, and 50,000 guests visiting the site every day. An average of 671 new accounts made every day. 16 million submissions ever created, and an average of 5.5 new submissions uploaded every minute. That's about 8,000 a day. Bear in mind that the number of existing users does not reflect the number of individuals. User accounts can be dead, people can have multiple accounts. Some of those accounts are groups or activities instead of individual furries. Let's also not forget that you can be a furry and not registered to Fur Affinity, and exist solely on sites like SoFurry or DeviantArt or Weasel, or even offline completely. Furry demographics have been studied at the University of Waterloo, which surveyed furries at several North American conventions. Hey, wait a second, that's the second time we've mentioned University of Waterloo. If you can figure out when the first time was, post it in the comments and you'll win Smartest Furry Award. Maybe we'll do a whole episode on just University of Waterloo. Also remember that this survey doesn't factor in European, Australian, or Asian branches of the fandom. The studies were also only done on 18+, so there's a gap there for teens. Based on this study, we can guess that most furries, at least these days, get interested in the fandom at around 16. The furry population starts to teeter off around age 25, though there are furries who've been with the fandom since the very early days, reaching upwards into the 50s and 60s. Other notable demographics at the time of the study are that furs are about 2/3 white, 2/3 male, and 2/3 gay and bisexual. We talked a little bit about why this might be the case on our previous episodes on the internet and on gatherings. Some other findings of the Waterloo study concluded that 35% of furries attend local meets like your friendly neighborhood convention, 25% attend regular meets like a weekly bowling night or furry dance parties like Howl. 25% of furries never attend a furry convention, and 50% of furries attend at least one convention a year. So the takeaway for this episode is that it's really hard to figure something like this out. Not every furry goes to conventions, not every furry will commission artwork, not every furry is registered online. Some of the data exists out there, and maybe someone with the knowledge and the tools will be able to pull this information and maybe collect some of their own. I feel like the data I have available is enough to create at least an estimate, but I lack the capacity to put those figures together because math. So we need your help. Given what we learned today and in previous episodes of Culturally Left, is there enough data that we presently have to estimate a furry GDP? Do we have enough information to guess how many furries there are out there? Do you think a comprehensive survey or study needs to be done by qualified professionals? Are you really good with numbers and equations? Please let us know down in the comments your thoughts, your estimates, your concerns on this, and maybe together we can figure something out. Culturally Left this week was brought to you by money. Wait a second, we don't have any money.
Sure don't.
Culturally Left this week was brought to you by blood, sweat, and tears. So many tears. Culturally Left was also brought to you by these fluffy, furry people. If you like what we do here, please let us know by liking and subscribing. If you have an idea for a future episode of Culturally Left, you should tweet at us at culturallyeft, that's culturally_FD. Or you can write on one of our many walls all over the internet. Thanks for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed Culturally Left so far, and we will see you next time. In the next episode of Culturally Left, we will be looking back at this first season and trying to figure out what it was we were doing in the first place. We're gonna have a lovely open concept conversation with co-conspirator Underbite Dragon. That will mark the end of the initial run of Culturally Left episodes, and we'll be taking a break to maybe write and film some more.